The new patch for Smash Ultimate is out, bringing us not just a new character, but also balance changes to other ones, and would you believe it, Nintendo actually gave us some decent patch notes. I'm C5 from the Beefy Smash Dudes, and here are all noteworthy changes. First of all, Piranha Plant is now finally playable and looks really cool. I definitely can't wait to try it out, but this video is mostly about the other balance changes, and before we dive into character-specific changes, there is one mechanic that affects everyone. You can now do short hops by pressing 2 jump buttons at the same time. This will probably not affect competitive players at all, since most people don't have too big problems with performing short hops consistently, but it might make short hopping easier for casual players, which is probably Nintendo's goal here. Alright, there have been 2 big quality of life changes that affect a lot of different aerials. First, the landing time has been shortened for a lot of moves. This is commonly known as auto-cancel and does not refer to landing lag. For those that don't know what auto-cancel means, certain aerials have no ground lag whatsoever if you time your landing correctly after the attack is finished. That is called auto-cancel, and attacks affected in this patch can now auto-cancel sooner. Here are all aerials that are affected by this. The second big quality of life change is that after certain aerials, you can now grab the ledge sooner than before. Previously, some attacks took ridiculously long before they allowed a character to grab the ledge afterwards, even if the attack itself was long over. But that time got reduced for a lot of aerials. Here are all of them. These 2 changes make many characters a tad quicker and show that Nintendo does want to push Smash into a faster, smoother and more action-packed direction, which is good. There are more character-specific changes though. The berry duration of Zero Suit Samus's down special, Inkling's side special and King K. Rool's down throw have been reduced at low percent. At around 100%, the duration is pretty much equal to pre-patch, and at even higher percent, the berry duration is longer than before. The hitbox of Inkling's roller is now a bit smaller. The launch angle of Mario's dash attack was adjusted. Link's arrows now fly longer before disappearing. Samus's side special reaches farther and has less end lag when performed in the air. Her down special also has less end lag. These changes count for Dark Samus as well. Kirby's dash attack has more range and damage. His forward tilt has less end lag and slightly increased base knockback. He also received a few more frames of super armor on his down special. Luigi's up smash and down special have more knockback, and his side special has less end lag on the ground as well as in the air. His down air doesn't spike grounded opponents anymore. This could make Luigi's infamous grab combo a little harder to finish, but he can also just finish it with an up air instead. Jigglypuff's forward tilt has less end lag, her down tilt has more knockback, as well as the sour spot of her up smash. Her back air comes out faster, and the launch angle of her forward throw has been adjusted. Bowser's jabs and forward tilt deal more damage, and his down smash has more knockback. With Ice Climbers, Nana should follow Popo a bit more consistently now. Desyncing them is still possible, but some desync setups may not work anymore. Sheik's up smash gains some extra range, and her side special has less end lag. Mewtwo's dash attack now applies less shield lag, making it a bit easier to punish. The spike hitbox of Chrome's and Ike's up special has been weakened. This means that they now might die before their opponent does, but that depends on how high up they are. If performed low enough, they can still survive longer than the spiked opponent. Mr. Game & Watch's forward air now has more range. Zero Suit Samus's forward smash has less knockback. Snake's up tilt sweet spot is now easier to hit. Charizard's dash attack now has more damage and knockback. Lucas's up tilt, down air and pummels are now electrical attacks and got a small visual update. Sonic's back air has less end lag. King Dedede's Gordos have a slightly smaller hitbox. Mega Man cannot cancel his forward tilt into specials or an item Z-drop anymore. This means that he also can't perform his Metal Blade Infinite anymore. Luma's up tilt deals more knockback now, and she reaches farther during down tilt. Rosalina's spike is now easier to hit. She also has less end lag when sending out or calling back Luma. Pre-patch, Greninja could cancel his up special on moving platforms. This is not possible anymore. Mii Brawler's rapid jabs have more range and are harder to escape. The sweet spot of their up smash is now easier to hit. The landing lag of neutral air as well as back air has been shortened, and their up air deals more damage. Their neutral special 2 has more damage, neutral special 3 has less end lag, side special 1 has more distance and speed, down special 1 deals more shield damage, making it an incredible shield breaker, and the kick of down special 2 has more knockback. Pac-Man's neutral special now disappears a bit later after hitting an opponent, giving him more time to catch it again. Duck Hunt's neutral special has less end lag, but his side special has more end lag. Pre-patch Ryu was able to instantly cancel a buffered down tilt into a jump, which was removed. These changes also applied to Ken. The startup of Cloud's finishing touch gained a bit more range. K. Rool's neutral special now lasts for a shorter duration, and the hitbox of his up special has become smaller. Incineroar's up smash and up throw have more knockback, and his up special gained more vertical and horizontal distance, giving him a better recovery. Some up specials have an easier time snapping to the ledge now, but even though it might be easier now, this doesn't fix teleport recoveries completely, as this can still happen sometimes, so be careful. The hit lag of some attacks has been reduced. In the patch notes, this is referred to as hit stun, but the community normally calls it hit lag, since hit stun usually refers to something else. This is a very minor change for most characters, except maybe Duck Hunt. It could make following up after a side special a bit harder. There have also been changes to some final smashes, the Spirit Board and Global Smash Power, but I won't go into detail here since it's only mildly interesting and this video was a ton of work already. If you enjoyed it and want to stay up to date with future patches, consider subscribing to the channel. As always, thanks for watching, see you soon and stay beefy!